All right, everyone. Well, welcome back to Hoop to Holler with Dylan Walrus, aka the B-Ball Study Hall. Got my man out there on the plains on the outside. I'm in the car, so I'm going to go ahead and put this guy right down there. What's going on, man? How you doing?
Doing good, brother. How are you?
I'm all right, man. I'm all right. I'm in this LA traffic, but that's just another day that ends in Y. Been watching these playoffs, so these conference finals, man, they have been pretty awesome. So let's get to it. Been watching the Eastern Conference Finals, as I know I have been. What are your thoughts, man? Those Knicks,
Bing
they're
bong.
on a roll, man. They are on a roll. Bing bong.
Bing
What are
bong
your
bockers.
impressions, man? What do you think?
Yeah, I think like there's a scenario now, Wally, where they're I mean, I think they've always out of the East. I think we both kind of thought the Celtics would show out a little bit more. Cavs have had the talent, but when it comes to like full scope of starters and potential and now energy with MSG and apparently Coach Brown turning into like a legitimate coach, yeah, they have a shot, dude. And we've got a bloodbath out west we'll talk about a little bit, but I wonder if there's some attrition that even gives them a little more pathway. Every time you're making a playoff run, luck is an element. And you control your own destiny to a certain extent, but the path, the seas have to kind of part their way. Now they're only up 2-0 on the Cavs. Cavs could go home and defend home. I mean, it could happen. But the way Brunson's playing, Cat's playing, Josh Hart last night, all the way down, Mikal Bridges, like OG, it's they look good, dude. And then they have the most experience and veterans. Makes it fun. You think they could do it all? You think they could win it all? Can they beat the Spurs or OKC? And is this series over?
So I think first off, yeah, I mean, I picked Knicks in six before the series began. I think it's probably going to go at least 5 to 6. The Cavs could get swept, no doubt about it. I have a feeling though they're going to get one of these next two games in Cleveland.
Okay.
And before thinking about the Knicks possibly winning the title, I mean, we have to understand the last time the Knicks have been to the finals has been 27 years ago in the
90,
lockout
99.
season when Duncan and Robinson got their first, yeah, in 99.
Yep.
So, just getting to the finals, would be just an
Massive.
incredible feat for Bing Bong community. Obviously, winning it all, you got to go back 53 years for
Wow.
that,
Wow.
right? So, first, you got to get over the 27-year hump. Yeah, man. I mean, this is a team that's been playing together for the last couple of years. I mentioned, I believe, the last time we were on the word continuity. I'm a big believer in that. People knowing how they play, how to, work each other up, when the chips are down. And these Knicks definitely have that. Jalen Brunson, that
So
that guy
good.
just continues to impress. And I was talking earlier this morning with some folks, and really, honestly, I think for the Dallas Mavericks,
Yeah.
having Brunson leave
Yeah.
for a 4-year, $100 million contract, that is a bigger mistake, in my view, than what happened with
I,
Luca.
I knew you, I
It,
knew where you're going before you finished that, and
it is.
yeah,
I mean,
hell
what they
no,
have gotten out of this
hell
guy
no.
for that money is crazy. You
I
could
mean,
say hell no all you
I mean,
want.
is it as
Yeah,
crazy?
Luca's been to the finals,
Hey, what?
but
Tell me what Anthony Davis has been doing lately.
yeah, I know, right?
Tell me, tell,
Anyway, so
tell
but
me
they got
about,
no, they got
tell me,
nothing for him. They
tell
they
me.
did manage to end up with the number one overall pick and rookie of the year
Yeah.
in
How
Cooper
did they?
Flag. Okay,
How
I
did
know
they?
it
How did
wasn't
they end up?
exactly a connection,
How did they end up?
100%.
How do they end up managing that? I wonder. And then
Yeah. Anyways,
and also,
the compliment is to Brunson. He's
yeah,
awesome.
I appreciate the compliment, and for sure, like pound for pound, inch for inch, this is dude is killing it. One thing, Wally, and we give give our one or two listeners out there as well. We got to get you in the
Yes.
Termini post game crash outs. Chuck D is in there, Public Enemy rapper, and I was chatting with him last night, and he said this is and he's a diehard Knickerbocker fan, grew up there, and he said this is the best team in since the 90s since the 19 or how do you put it in the last 25 years, like this century.
94 team.
No, he's saying this is the best team of this
Oh, for
century,
sure.
and this is the most pivotal game
Yeah.
of this century. That they're playing, which is pretty cool to kind of put that on. I still picture Jeff Van Gundy's bald head bouncing off the floor with the holding the leg of Ewing or whoever it was in that
Unzel.
that that huddle. Yeah, yeah.
No, it was
Oh yeah,
Alonzo
Zoe.
Mourning,
Yeah, you're
dude.
right. You're right, dude. Yeah, good call. So yeah,
Yeah.
I think it's fun. It's fun to have the Knicks be relevant, and you and I both lean west. I think just naturally it's what we follow. I think it's been the most exciting hoops. But there is something sweet about thinking after this bloodbath happens in the West, there's this veteran team, assuming they get past the most fraudulent backcourt, I'll say again, and James Harden and Spider, which are proving me right, but probably should win game or 3 or 4. They should, but Brooms would not surprise me. But there's this veteran team with an entire coast of energy and FU energy going back 30 plus years, waiting. That's going to make for a fun finals. At least we're going to get a good finals, because a summer conversation sometimes is, do you seed out 1 through 16 regardless of East West? So that we might have had OKC and the Spurs meeting in the finals. Different conversation, different day. But I'm glad we got I'm glad that New York's playing well. Short answer, and I hope they close it out and look good.
Me too, man.
And maybe get some rest going into this finals.
To answer your question, I think the Knicks do have a shot. I wouldn't pick them against either the Spurs or the Thunder, but I think they do have a shot, and that is because absolutely right. Shout out to the pup. I think so, because you, of course, have what you could perhaps say is the best starting five in the NBA, with Brunson,
just doing
and Bridges, sure. Hart, OG, Cat. But they have some depth on that bench now. So, Deuce McBride, he was with them last year, but they added Shamet. They added Jose Alvarado, the thief. That dude is awesome coming off the bench, right? Giving you energy. And Mitch, Clarkson, Mitchell Robinson, I mean, that's a nice bench that they have now.
The other thing to consider, OG's hamstring is the only injury issue they've really had, knock on wood. But that's the wild thing, is they're the older team and they've been the healthiest so far, and they've had the easiest path. That's the other thing, is like sometimes the pathway opens to get you there healthy, and you just gotta show up, best ability, we always say, right? Availability.
Absolutely.
And meanwhile, in the West, Wally.
Yeah, let's go West.
Yeah, it sounds like Harper and Fox are both game time decisions.
Go West, young man. Go West.
Go West, young man. Or just end in South Dakota and get lazy on the Oregon Trail. My buddy always says, the real stars of the Oregon Trail went all the way to the coast, and here laid the lazy ones. But Harper and Fox game time decisions. And Dub, I think, is not going to play. It looks like. Can the Spurs win with Steph Castle handling duties, 20 turnovers in 2 games, the most ever? Can Mitch Johnson get him off the ball a little bit, or ease his burden at least defensively or offensively? I just called in before, and my argument was you gotta spell him a little bit on chasing Steph SGA around defensively. Put him on Caruso, Queso, Dort, so he can retain a little energy, and then put the ball in Devin Vassell's hand, Keldon Johnson, to handle occasionally, so that Steph isn't having to do it every time. Like you got to ease his burden. What do you think here? And how does game 3 win it all? It's a must win for the Spurs, right?
I don't think it's a must win for the Spurs. It's a huge game. I know
what
historically.
What if they lose?
So I know historically, on a 1-1 split, that game 3 winner is like, whatever it must be, 70%.
Especially at home.
At home. No, it's definitely a big game. I don't think it's a must win, though. I think they'd be able to overcome a loss. The bigger problem, like you just mentioned, Fox being out, but even more so, Dylan Harper. That dude was a beast in game 1. They didn't win game 1 without what he was doing, driving it down to the paint. I mean, he is a massive 6'6". Like, you put him, next to J-Dub, and he makes J-Dub look slight. It's quite the thing to look at.
I liked when he bully balled Lou Dort. I said he put Lou in the Dortchu chamber, where he just bully balled him. However, Wally, game 2, he goes down pretty early, and the Spurs did come back multiple times, like 4 or 5 runs where they're cutting to 3 or 5 or 6. Like, they're in there. They just couldn't get over the hump. And maybe that's different. Man,
you mentioned about the turnovers with Castle. Yeah. I mean, my Lakers, the last series, they could have gotten at least 1 win out of that series if they just weren't turning the ball over like they were. And, I've heard your argument how, look, that's the Thunder. Like, the Thunder force these turnovers. I think that's true to a pretty degree, but not entirely. Like, Steph needs to understand, whether he's starting off the offense or if he gets the ball, you can't just drive into 3 players and have as loose a dribble as he has and not understand you're at least probably every other time, going to get stripped. Like, he's so athletic. It's almost different. The ball has to catch up with his athleticism. You know what I mean?
That dunk that's
an all-timer, man. Like, That's yeah, we're gonna see that on highlight reels, until we're, in rocking chairs, with the long gray and white beard for me.
Then we'll be hanging out.
Um,
We'll be on the
but
same rocking chair,
exactly.
on the same
Yeah,
porch.
just that you just cannot turn the ball over against this, rather the Oklahoma City Thunder. I've said it
Blood in the
before. It's
water.
like
These
blood.
day sharks. Yep.
Exactly.
Yep.
Exactly, man.
My pushback would be this. If I'm Coach Mitch Johnson, I want Steph Castle getting in the paint with force. And if he turns it over down there, taking on three, gets caught, I don't care. The turnover I don't want is the cross court turnover that leads to transition in a fast break.
Live
And that,
ball.
correct. And that's happening because Steph Castle is fatigued and he's trying to get off the ball and he's making a lazier, less laser pass, in my opinion. So that's where you got to spell him, either bench play or get him off the ball for a little bit. But I want him attacking the rim for that dunk reason, for the foul trouble potential it puts on Chet or Ihart. Vic's got to go at Ihart. Hartenstein's holding him all over the place. He won the last battle.
Crazy.
Vic's got to go at him. So foul trouble, and then your guy Julian Champagnie, yours and my guy, and Devin Vassell, can they get loose tonight? Can they hit some threes and make it easier? Because so far it's been, and here's the one for you as an LA guy. I know it's painful. Can we call him Alex Curry? Alex Curry.
Yeah.
He's been nuts, dude.
Crazy.
These first two games. And he's not going to shoot that well. The law of averages is going to happen. But so far, the role players for OKC have shot it better than the role players for the Spurs, and that's been another difference maker.
Yeah, for sure. No, Caruso's a gamer, man. Yeah, I mean that, especially that game one, despite the fact they lost. Like, my God, watching that, it was so painful as a Lakers fan. But yeah, of course, those live ball turnovers again. That's the Thunder just completely feast on those and thrive. And like I've said, a number of times, as we've discussed all this, it's a psychological thing.
Yeah.
When you see, the opposition just continuously beating you down when you turn the ball over, it starts to wear on you. So tonight, this needs to be a Wemby night. He needs to go for another 40, maybe even closer to 50. If I'm Mitch Johnson, it's not the way they play, but now with, Fox and let's presume Harper out, I would play through Wemby in the mid post. He's a pretty good passer. He can hold that ball up above his head. No one can get to it. Get those guys running around off screens on the perimeter, get some good open rhythm shots. Like, they need to play a little bit differently without, two of their three ball handlers, not in the game. I mean,
I agree.
It frustrates me. The modern NBA frustrates me, just to finish the point, because it's a 3-point shooting league. It's, up and down, really, but there are things that are tried and true. And when you have a dominant player who can play in the post, he's not Shaq, but he's also not just like a stick figure. He's got some muscle on him now. You gotta use that to your advantage.
Okay. Yeah, I think there's good insight there. And your boy Braun, the thing he said about Wemby that stuck with me, they were talking about him a little bit, him and Steve Nash. He said, Wemby's tall, of course, but there's been a lot of tall players. The difference for Wemby is his dexterity and ability to grab the ball and know where the rim is and instantly find it. So he has like these funky, weird reverses or dunks where he's like almost backwards and it's happened so fast. So I think there's a point to be made there, but it's the same thing with Castle. It's the fine line between energy, effort, and fatigue. And not wanting to wear him out too much early, so you have that at the end, and that's where you ease that burden with timely shooting from role players. And to your point, live ball, it's all a snowball rolling down a hill that turns into an avalanche, right? So when Ihart's holding Wemby, Wemby's not only frustrated, but he can't quite get the rebound or get defensively where he needs to go. Maybe now SGA gets the bucket that he wouldn't have got. Now OKC can set up their defense and clamp on Castle. Now he's got to work to bring the ball up, and he's getting fatigued, again, and it repeats. Whereas energy breeds energy, right? So if Wemby can get loose, get the block shot, kick it up court, Castle gets in the paint, swings it out to Champagnie, he laces a three. Now the Spurs have energy, and they get to set up their defense. So I think that's where the game's going to be won, is like that transition and whose force is felt more consistently. We're going to have a battle. The fun thing about this series is, like, it's never over. Like, the other team can always get back into it. And that's what makes it fun. Do you think this is the most exciting game of the playoffs, this game 3?
Oh, brother. I mean, yeah, it sets up that way.
I think so.
I don't think it's going to get more exciting than that game one. I mean, double OT, him
Oh,
hitting,
sure. In
the
terms of like
deepest three,
how it plays out, but like
potential. Yeah.
has there been a more important game to this point than tonight though? I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Yeah, I suppose that's true. It's just, it's a shame that, it was one thing to have Fox out for the
Yep.
Spurs.
Harper. Yep.
Harper,
Yeah, it's
like,
big. Big.
he's been huge for them
And
in these playoffs.
and that's why I'll say
Huge.
if the Spurs can win tonight, I think they're your champion. If OKC wins
Yeah.
tonight, if OKC wins tonight, I think we're going to see OKC Knicks finals that goes 7 games. That's what I think we'll
Yeah.
see. That's my prediction right now. If the Spurs
I,
win tonight, I think they win it all.
yeah, we'll see. I think they could lose tonight and still end up winning the series.
You go down 1-2 at home. Of course, you got to come back, win game 4, but the momentum is swung, and then they go back to OKC. I just think you're behind the 8 ball at that point.
Yeah.
Like
It's just for me, it's as if they can get one or two, both of those guys back, in Fox, and
Yep.
I would say more importantly, Harper. Tonight, I think a guy who really needs to show up because they're down, those two very important players is, as far as I know, the only champ. Well, let's see. No, Luke Cornett. He
Yep.
won the championship with the Celtics.
French
But before him, Harrison Barnes. Harrison
Yeah.
Barnes needs to.
That's interesting. Yeah. I haven't even thought about him.
He
Honestly.
needs to throw something into the pot tonight.
Yeah.
Because they're really hurting without Harper and Fox too.
It would be sweet
Harper
redemption
on the floor
when you think of his playoff arc, because he was so bad for the Warriors. All he needed to do was hit a wide open baseline shot, and they win that championship. And they ship him out for KD. That was that 73-10 season or 73-9 season, right? When they couldn't get the championship after the best regular season, and that's when KD came in and they shipped Harrison Barnes out. And in my opinion, one of the nicest. Like he truly is a scholar genius dude. If you've ever heard him talk, he's amazingly intelligent. But yeah, you're Harrison Barnes. If he can make some plays, that'd be a nice career arc of redemption. From where he was at. So yeah, well, that's a good call. I hadn't even really thought about him. I've only seen him in limited minutes up to this point.
Because they haven't needed him, But
they needed him last game. They could have used him last game.
Yeah, but now they at least know going into this game that they're down both those guys. I mean, Harper, are they saying Harper's a game time decision?
They both are, yes.
They both are. I mean, he wanted to come back in.
Yeah, he did.
And they stopped him, so
the risk reward right now is weighing injury potential for getting worse, or to your point, if you sit another day or two, are you then able to come back with more effect? But yeah, it's gonna be really intriguing regardless. I was thinking Cornette. I think there's a place for Cornette to give some minutes and take some pressure off Wemby, both defensively, maybe even a little offensively too, where you get some more size. I think he's good, but he hasn't been good in the series yet. Anything you want to wrap there? You want to talk a little bit on the way out with your purple and gold?
Yeah, I mean, so the off season is going to be another summer of LeBron. What is he going to do? Is he going to retire? I don't think so. So the question is he going to be back on the Lakers or not?
Yeah, he's not going to retire.
I think I don't think he's retiring. I think
the
he's
world
would
know.
What's that?
The world and galaxy would know. And he said so much.
Galaxy would know, right?
He said so much in his own words when Nash asked him. He said he was actually very logical, Wally. He just said kind of what you and I are about to say. He was weighing options of family, location. He said he doesn't want to go to a team where it's a rebuilding scenario. He doesn't have that kind of time. But he didn't leave it off the table that he wouldn't go somewhere else. He talked about what it was like to him. He does a lot of truth telling and also self-bragatory, which I can't totally knock him, but he said he was able to take on this role as the third player. They're playing some of their best ball. He called Luka playing MVP level ball, and AR playing all-star ball, and that they were, reeling off wins and playing good defense, which was accurate. He said how amazing it was that they were able to win a series without those two guys, and said he felt really good, gave himself some credit. Said how amazing it was to score 10 straight points with his son. So if I was a betting person, which I'm not, I think he wants to play for the Lakers.
I agree.
Is there a pathway that it works out though monetarily? And that's the problem.
It does. It has now been established. Bobby Marks is one of the top. The guy. Yeah, it's been established now that he's actually going to be able to make the most money with the Lakers
Oh,
outside
I
of a
did not know that.
Brooklyn or a Chicago
Hmm.
offering him a max deal, which obviously is not going to happen. Yeah, he can earn like about 20 million staying with the Lakers. Going to another team that actually has some legitimate contender status
What would he
would
make in
be,
the
I think,
Bay?
topping out 15. I think the Bay is the one other place. I
That's my
could
lean.
see that potentially happening. Right now, I'm also not really a betting man. All right, but if I had to, I would bet he's going to be back on the Lakers. But if not the Lakers, I think the Bay would be the place. But I actually, local radio I called into yesterday because I heard the sound, of him kind of being a little wishy-washy. I think part of his decision has to be has to consider rather just frankly his son
Yeah,
and his son's
100%.
professional career.
Yeah,
Because if Bronny's not going to be with the Lakers,
yeah.
I
He's
I don't
Theonis.
know.
He's
You know what I
Theonis,
mean?
right? Yeah, you
I
you
don't know
throw
if there's
him.
another team right now who's willing to give that
There isn't.
guy a roster spot. There almost
No,
certainly is not.
you throw him a bone in hopes to bring his dad along. But I think you're right. I think that's one vital component. The other vital component is Luca. Luca, what WWL W?
What
No.
would Luca do?
Well, what does Luca want? Is what I'm trying
What
to
does
say.
Luca want? Yeah.
Okay, so he says he wants AR, right? That's who
Yeah.
he wants to be his running mate. That's what he says. I did hear a little bird chirping about is there trade potential like Luca played pretty well with Kyrie as well, didn't he?
Oh no. Yeah, yeah, he did, but no, 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 no.
Oh, wait.
Please, no.
Wait. Yeah, I know
Oh
you're saying
no.
no. I know you're saying no.
Oh no.
I know you're saying no. Don't just don't be totally surprised.
I hear you.
Asai Majuri gets hired. Jason Kidd is
Yeah.
fired. Dallas has money. Dallas is Dallas is going to get seemingly getting rid of the entire deck of Nico, uh, tied players.
Yeah.
Kyrie's the next guy to go. Just and AR. The problem with AR and Luka, we talked about at the very beginning of the season, is defense. That's the problem. They're great offensively, and you said it. Can they outscore teams? So if it's going to be those two, you got to surround them with some great defenders, and that's tough, man. They don't grow on trees.
The thing is that, because I have started to really look into it rather. This is not exactly a spectacular free agent
It's not.
class
Yeah.
this summer.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
That's why
So,
AR on the open market is going to get paid, dude.
yeah, I'm not quite sure about that. Honestly,
Who's
the
a
only
better free agent than him in this class?
Oh, I hear you on that. I do, but I think all the other teams besides the Lakers saw what happened this playoffs with him, and yes, admirably playing, off of an oblique injury, but
Yep.
he already was, to use a phrase you've used, negative defender. That was already well established with him.
And it was OKC,
I
dude.
think the Lakers
There's also OKC. Like there is a little
and
like
OKC,
I mean, what are you gonna do? Like Steph
sure,
Castle, in my
of
opinion,
course.
has had unlimited energy, and he's getting wore down. Like AR battling back off this
No doubt about
injury.
it.
So Peyton Watson is the other one. Peyton Watson's the other name that didn't play in the playoffs, and there's Laker ties there, or rumors of them going for him. I don't know, man. I think, yeah. Does Don want AR?
I definitely do not see Kyrie. Kyrie, is one. He's it's almost a Kawhi level, history of injury.
I
At this
wouldn't want
point.
it either. I wouldn't want it either. But with Luca and LeBron,
Yeah, nah,
I mean,
I don't see that. No,
let,
Luca
let's
wants.
be totally
Yeah,
transparent too. LeBron's camp. It wasn't LeBron, but it was his agent. Did dangle out? Is there an AR trade out there in the middle of the season?
yeah.
You remember that? That didn't come from nowhere.
I do. I do somewhat remember Rich Paul saying that. Yeah, on the podcast with Max Kellerman.
Yep,
Yeah.
he did. And then
Game
they
over. That's a
walked
good
it back.
podcast.
And then they walked it back.
Yeah.
But that comes from somewhere. They're calculated, dude.
Oh, sure. No, of course. But no, I think Austin Reeves is going to be a Laker next year. You cannot look if you want to keep Luka, as a Laker, long term, because he's now, I think, 2 more years under contract.
Yeah.
He's made it very clear that he wants to play and be a teammate with Austin Reeves.
The other all in is Giannis, right? I mean, that's the other all in. And what I'm feeling a little bit with Luka, Wally, He's kind of turning into Giannis a little bit for me. Like,
Yeah,
talk to me again when you make a meaningful run in the playoffs. Talk to me then.
sure,
I mean, like,
sure.
if you're just gonna be injured and not really in shape, or have these nagging injuries, what's your value? Like, what is your value? Like, LeBron ended up being your most valuable player this year, which is asinine.
Yeah. Well, I
So,
mean, that ends up that of course is because Luka goes down with
yep,
injury. I mean, without
yep.
that, it's definitely him. Yeah, Giannis is interesting. He, of course, I'd say, next to LeBron is the other big, potential story this summer.
Your
I
Laker
share,
camaraderies would your companions, they would go nuts if Giannis came in, right? Like that. That's the
they
big
would,
fish.
man.
That's the Shaq to Kobe, right? That's the Shaq to
They,
Kobe.
yeah,
Like,
they would. That
and,
would
and
be
that's
that would be
AR.
something.
That's AR out, and that is defense, but it's not a lot of
Yeah,
help.
it would be something.
So
So yeah,
here's my wild prediction. You're gonna have
yes.
Kyrie and you're gonna have Giannis on your squad next year.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
I don't know,
Don't
man.
hold your breath on that. I have a feeling that the Lakers are going to largely be the same team that they were this year. Maybe adding a piece or two because I think Aiton's going to
Def,
opt back in. I think as long as the number's reasonable, they're going to want to bring Marcus Smart. He added a real
he was up and down. He
edge.
was up and down, but more up,
He
probably.
was. He
Yeah.
just can't. He can't consider himself to be the primary offensive option in pretty much any given play unless he's on a real heater. He hasn't missed his last five,
Wally,
6 shots.
Wally,
But yeah,
what's the definition of insanity?
oh yeah, but guess what? It's also mildly insane thinking that any team can really compete right now with the Spurs or the Thunder.
Are those guys getting younger?
No, they're not. I'm just for me, it's a combination of things. Okay, and I want us to make sure we wrap here. Okay, under time. You have a limited number and quality of free agents this summer, so you're not looking to dump long-term money into guys that really aren't
Giannis
worth
wants
it.
to move.
Giannis wants to move. Who knows? Crazy things have happened, but for the most part, I think the Lakers. I think this was also something that Bobby Marks said that really their best options in free agency are retaining their own free agents. So we shall see. I just want the team to be competitive.
You're playing for fourth place. Playing for fourth place.
It's not playing. It's playing with the cards you have, and that team in March looked pretty good. I don't think they would have still beaten either the Thunder or the Spurs, but they would have had a puncher's chance.
The last part, and we kind of hinted at last time, is does Pelinka need to do something for his job? Is he in with this group or not? Because if he needs to keep his job and needs to do something, maybe that's where the Giannis thing happens. I don't know. Gonna be curious, but yeah, we'll have time. Man. We'll have time, dude.
That's exactly right.
Last word.
All righty, man. Always great doing with you. Have a good one. See you on the next one.
All right, brother.